Moving on, EU leaders head into a high-stakes summit for Ukraine with a macroeconomic package of $54 billion and a promise of formal membership talks on the table. The Hungary Prime Minister Orbán has threatened to veto both steps, which would condemn the meet to failure and leave Kyiv out in the cold almost 2 years after Russia launched an invasion. Now, Ukraine's neighbor, Moldova, is also hoping for membership talks. The summit comes at a crucial time in Ukraine's war against Russia's invasion after a counter-offensive failed to make major gains. And the Biden administration so far has been unable to get a $60 billion aid package for Kyiv through U.S. Congress. And if EU leaders give a green light to membership talks and the 4-year financial package, Kyiv will be able to claim a geopolitical victory. Failure to agree would likely be greeted by Moscow as a sign of faltering Western support for Ukraine. And all of the EU's 27 national leaders except Orbán have backed the start of accession talks, but such a decision requires unanimity, and the Hungarian, who cultivates close ties to Moscow, has insisted that Ukraine is not ready for such a step. The Ukrainian president said that his country had carried out the necessary political reforms to get the go-ahead and urged the EU to honor its commitments. Vladimir Zelensky stated Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orbán had no reason to block Ukraine's EU membership. Listen in.
He has no any reasons to block Ukrainian membership in EU. And I asked him to tell me one reason, not 3, 5, 10. Tell me one reason. I'm waiting for answer.
Orbán has cited corruption in Ukraine and other concerns in justifying his stance. EU officials and diplomats suspect that he's using the issue as a bargaining chip, hoping to obtain funds frozen by the bloc over concerns about the rule of law in Hungary. And on Wednesday, the European Commission, the EU executive body, restored Hungary's access to up to $11 billion in refunds for economic projects. Now, the Commission recommended last month that EU leaders agree to start accession talks with Ukraine, and a second unanimous decision would still be needed, possibly in March, to agree to a negotiating framework. Now, officials and diplomats said that a compromise could involve a longer gap between the two decisions and language in summit declaration on terms to be fulfilled in the meantime. Officials also said that they were braced for a tough summit that could go late into Friday night or even into the weekend. Orbán has objected to a proposal to give Ukraine $54 billion in grants and loans to keep the state running as part of a broader revision the EU budget. Now, such a revision also requires unanimity among EU governments who would have to pay for it. And if Hungary sticks to its stance, then EU's other members could set up financing outside the budget for Ukraine, but that would be more complex and expensive. Some analysts think that Hungary would ultimately agree to the package as it contains cash for other projects that Budapest would benefit from.